Evening all. So what we're going to do today is take a look at the new Uprising skill tree, and certainly today's focus is very much about the drop suits only. So let's talk about that. I mean, I think the interesting thing around the new skill tree is they have included this kind of middle ground of general frame suits. And this is kind of long list here. It's funny they've done this because you effectively need to push through this barrier, and you need to get it to level 5, which utterly sucks. But you need to push through this barrier to then get the role specific fits, such as assault, logistics, scout, etc. So it's an interesting one. It does mean that you have to pretty much throw your hat in the ring on a particular fit. So you see here I've done logistics scout 5 and then light drop suits 5 as well. That gives me a very limited type of drop suits that I can use because it was dumb of me to do 5 and 5, but that's just the way I am. But I think this is something to really consider because, you know, for example, if you maybe want to run a heavy suit with a forge gun, and maybe you also then maybe want to run, I don't know, an assault suit with an AR, that gives you twice the amount of skill points that you need effectively to split, because you can certainly do the frames, these middle suits, and that gives you a perfectly fine suit, but you don't get necessarily the bonus, and in some cases the bonus is quite good. So I think that's something to bear in mind. And again, talking around upgrades as well, you can see here, I mean, you know, the core skills have to be drop suit electronics, drop suit engineering, and a few others, but those two are the key ones, because otherwise your power grid and CPU is going to be pretty awful. So please really consider where to put your skill points. If you've splurged like I have, then you're going to suffer, because, you know, look at this, I've got no skills in really anything. I've got 0 in electronics and engineering, so the fits that I'm doing are pretty rubbish, to be honest with you. So I think really just maybe spend some time and go through that skill tree. We'll come back to that. Let's go and look at the suits themselves now. So in the actual marketplace, let's just go through the base. So these basic suits are, you know, are as they say, basic. They don't really have any role bonuses, but what they do give you is the ability to get into, you know, a higher module enabled suit, if that makes sense. And as you can see, you know, there's really kind of the same, you know, basic, advanced, prototype, etc. And you know, I think that's it's a funny thing that they've done this. They've almost like made you sink huge amounts of skill points into a category just so you can maybe get the bonus. For example, the scout suit that I use, I just showed you there, that has a bonus to melee damage and, you know, scan reduction and all that, and which is fine, but I think it's probably quite a high thing to ask for. But anyway, so I think, you know, don't be afraid to use the medium frames, the small, large and medium frames without role bonuses, because I guess they can be used to do many things. Now you'll notice the price has also come down as well, so there's probably less of a sting to use prototype now, which is good. To be honest, that's evident in the way that battles are going lately, because it just seems that everybody uses prototype now. But here we go. So I mean, you know, this is the look of the feel of the things. Obviously, the medium frames are not too dissimilar to what you're probably familiar with already. Galante looks pretty sexy, and Mimitar's got a stupid great big backpack on, which I'm sure is part of the hitbox, so if you use it, you're kind of lost. But I think certainly when it comes to, you know, the role specific ones, so like logistics and so on, then, you know, you need to be getting into these kind of things. Look at that, looks badass, doesn't it? I've got to admit, I do like the Galante suits. They've got that incredible kind of eye structure on the front. It's very nice. And I think they're looking pretty good. Why they've made logistics have great big gold markers on them, I'm not entirely sure. I think it may be so you can spot them, but then that has obviously a negative because you can pick out the logistics and kill them first. So maybe just bear that in mind if you're running Logi. When it comes to the assault suits, they're pretty good. They're very dark. They have a very nice kind of dark feel to them. Really don't understand why the Amar assaults look like the heavies. The Amar suits generally, I think, are pretty gimped because they do feel quite big. Now that may mean a bigger hitbox, I don't know, but it does feel as if they're not particularly suitable. But look at that, isn't that badass? That you know, that's a fantastic look for the Caldari one, and then the Mimitar one looks a bit like the Logi, obviously, which again a lot of people are moaning about. And I can understand that. In terms of the heavies, there's only the Amar heavy currently in there, so you know, you're pretty limited. If you want to run heavy, then it probably means you've just spent all your skill points getting into the Amar prototype heavy, and you watch, the other 3 races will probably be even better. But that's the way it is. I think I do question why they bothered with Uprising, really. I think they could have just waited for everything to come on the May the 14th, but hey. That's their call. I think it's certainly when it comes to the suits that are out there, there's a huge amount of stuff that you can go for. A lot of people, I mean, Dyreva from our group is having a real trouble picking between, I think, Amar and Galante Logi. And I think it really does come down to the pros and cons. You just have to pick one, I think, at the end of the day. But there's also a huge amount of militia suits as well. Don't disregard these. Already we've had, somebody said to me, oh, wow, there's nothing we can do to these tanks because we don't have any, like, blah, blah. And I'm like, you're kidding. You can just run a militia heavy suit with a militia forge gun, with militia, or rather the XOA or the XOO. AV grenades, and you can kill any tank. You know, I don't understand why people forgot that. So please don't forget the militia suits are here still. They're not terrible. They're pretty cheap, and I think if you're looking to maybe have a bit of a play, they're worth looking. You've also got some featured fits as well. So if you've got a few quid burning a hole in your pocket, feel free to come and buy some of these. Not particularly impressed with them, to be honest, but I can see what they're trying to do. So let's look at my suit here. This is the Scout MK0. This is, I like this suit. It's not as fast, I think, as the Galante Scout, but again, when I'm doing my usual run gun shotgun style, you kind of need a little bit of survivability, and I like the fact that I can get a pretty decent shield on this thing. It did take a few moments of decision of whether or not to go for the Scout, Mimitar or Galante, and I think I was, you know, kind of, that was what sold it to me. It's got 4 lows, so it can do a huge amount of speed, but with only 1 medium slot, that thing's going to die pretty quick, and you can't really armor tank a Scout. Well, you can, but you don't get the speed of it. So for me, it was pretty much a no-brainer. I went with the Mimitar. That's very akin to Eve as well. Most kind of PvP ships, I think, generally are Mimitar, just because they are they're able to do armor and shield, and they do seem to have some good bonuses attributed to them. So let's look at my fits currently as they stand. This is pretty much a forgiven, you know, kind of situation. You know, the AR is pretty good, so I've got an AR Scout. You can see the prices are linked to some of these. So that's my Dragonfly shotgun, 4K per suit, fantastic for ambush. You die lots, but you kill lots as well. It's good fun. Nice cheap suit. You then got another laser mini. Don't know why I've got that one. Oh, that's a cheaper one. That's a frame suit. Then I've got my Nova Knife fit. More to come on that very soon. Then I've got my Devol shotgun fit. This is a pretty nice fit, bit expensive though. And then I've got my kind of less expensive fit of a shotgun, which is using the CRG. Again, you can see it's all shield. It's all speed boost. Little bit of sort of shield regular modulation here as well. And then most importantly at the bottom we have our forge gun, militia forge gun, 4K per pop. And I think if you don't use that, if you don't have one of those fits, you're missing out, because whenever tanks are called in, just 5 or 6 of you getting very quickly into a forge gun fit, you can just run at people and basically get at them. Now I think that's worth doing, because again, a lot of people are, you know, forgetting the militia fits are there, or maybe just dismissing them. They're not bad. Don't dismiss them. They are actually quite capable. So I'd definitely have a look at them. So let's just finish now with some more look at the skill tree. I think the skill tree, again, is worth noting the bonuses that are certainly involved with a lot of these. So come into the skill tree and you can press triangle to see your bonuses. So here we go. So the Scout drop suit for the Galante one just really doesn't have many bonuses at all, other than maybe a scan up and down lift in terms of its exposure and scan radius, if you like. But, I think it's worth noting certainly some of the bonuses here. So, for example, the Caldari have a particular bonus to certain things. The Amar suits have a real bonus to using laser weaponry, so they can actually probably fire a laser a lot longer. It's a shame lasers suck now. And then you see here, look, the sidearm weaponry. So that pretty much means Mimitar should be using SMGs and stuff like that. So it's interesting. It's very interesting to see how CCP have kind of cut up the way that they feel the suits should be used. And I think it's worth just noting what these racial bonuses are. Okay, I think also in terms of when you're picking a suit as well, don't do what I did, which was 5 and 5. Because you're going to regret that. There's more to the game than just one suit, so try and expand into others. So there we go. That was our first look at fittings. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do more spotlights on certain weaponry. We're going to look at the guns a bit more depth next time. We're certainly going to take a look at some more of the specific drop suits as well. Again, just a final reminder, we've got a Facebook page, like.squadb, and if you're interested in Twitter, please follow me on Twitter, CEO Pyrex. Hope you enjoyed that. We'll see you next time.